Morning. Great to see you all here. You're heartily welcome. So first of all, let me welcome you as CEO BRE. Really great topic. We can do a load of work. A small but perfectly formed group to progress matters on here today and beyond. And have a great day. The other thing is, in breaks and stuff, we have the Innovation Park here to look at, which is really interesting, all sorts of stuff to see. We have a refurbished Victorian terrace over the back, one of which we're converting into a flood unit. So we're going to fill that with water soon, see how it performs, give it a bit of a hammering. And then around the edges, if you ask BRE colleagues, they may show you in the big concrete box over there, which is brutalist architecture, totally functional, and that's a place where we build and smash to pieces great big buildings and stuff. And then down the bottom, if you want to go in the interest of science and engineering, it's great fun. And then down the bottom, for example, you've come by a big corrugated building. That's one where we build great big buildings and then burn the hell out of them. That's great fun as well. And then all around the edges, we have a whole array of other facilities where actually we do a lot of science, a lot of engineering, and all with the goal of producing independently derived science and research that's then deployed to make the built environment better. Okay. We do a load of other stuff as well, modelling and other work, load of work on social science. You hear from Mindy later. You're speaking, aren't you, Mindy? So we do a load around human factors. And anyway, feel welcome. Feel free to go out and walk around and enjoy your day. Now, I want to actually talk to you about some work I've been doing sort of independent of BRE for the last 10 months with Graham and with Joey and with you, Sam, and Matt, Elaine and others who are here. And this is one of these independent government review things where the government realises there's some problem. They realise that problem needs to be fixed by a partnership and a collaboration of the private and third and public sectors together. They're not quite sure how to do it or what to do to make things better. And they appoint somebody independent to chair something that brings together those stakeholders into a review or a plan that commits people to action that makes things better. Do you see that? So last December, I was asked by the Floods Minister to conduct work to come up with a plan, a private, third sector and public sector plan that helped address some of the problems and miseries we have around property level resilience. So the basic topic here is, the weather's changing and the risks of buildings to flooding is going up. About 1 in 6 of our properties in Britain, homes and buildings, is at risk of flooding of one form or another, not just through rivers, but through runoff and things like that. And what we know too is that it can take a hell of a long time to get those homes or those buildings, businesses and other things repaired so people can go back and conduct their lives in the way they did before. It's also hugely expensive for flooding in general. I know that includes burst pipes and things like that, but I understand that for the insurance industry, that's probably, is that the most expensive?
Flood is the most expensive. Yeah.
Most expensive thing. So there's all the human misery and difficulty and disruption. It's hugely expensive for the insurance sector. There are various grants and things available from the government to assist people. It's becoming an increasingly difficult problem. And actually the supply chain, a whole bunch of the supply chain, some of you here today have got some great solutions that if only they were deployed more effectively and more, like yours, more effectively would help people do things better. It's a whole range of materials which are inherently quicker to recover from if you get flooded than others. So this review was really to look at, to say, well, how do we introduce a resistance to buildings taking in water in the first place up to about this level? And then if water does get in, how can we help encourage use of materials and technologies and products that make the building recover very much quicker? So, water goes out, get a hose pipe, a brush, a bit of a disinfectant, sweep it out. Not quite like this, but this type of thing. And there's some great examples. When you're doing a review, the first thing you look is for evidence of where it's gone wrong and why, and you look for evidence of where it's gone right and why. And there's some appalling examples of misery and awfulness and numptiness. That's probably not the right term, but you're just a bunch of people who are somehow or other just getting it wrong. or who are putting in materials and measures that the next time the home's flooded you go through exactly the same misery. And there are some other examples of extraordinary great practice and inspiring stories where businesses are back on their feet in a couple of days and people are back in their homes within a week. Anyway, that's the context. So I was asked to do that thing. That's a volunteer, it's not a paid role. You have whatever civil service support you need, and what you do is you cluster a range of effective people around you that represent those that need to take action together, do some work, create a vision, identify the actions, publish a report, deliver the outcomes. So in terms of that, this is the review. It's called an action plan because it is full of time-framed, clear actions that will be taken both by the public and the private sector and other sectors. It's got a really well-honed leadership group that I've chaired for 10 months that now Graham's going to chair going forward. It has the ear, the eye of the Floods Minister, the Chair of the Environment Agency, big businesses, big insurers. Before we launched it last week, we met with the Minister and the bosses of the insurance companies. And, you know, there's some pretty clear, significant objectives in this, which actually other speakers will talk through. I think you're going to raise them and others.
I'm going to touch on it, yeah, and I think some of those will.
That mean that we actually have this thing and this movement and collaboration will, over the next 3 to 5 years, and you're going to set out a vision, aren't you, of outcomes you expect by then, that actually make this work well. Building regulations will be changed to require the use of inherently flood resilient materials in areas of flood risk. The way the insurance industry work will improve, and the way material suppliers and technology suppliers engage with those people has got better and will get better. And step by step we'll see these products being much more prevalently used. The other key part, so the other key part of this though is around the underpinning standards and codes and things, because when people use these products or use people with these services, as we spoke about at the beginning, what was your name at the back? Your name here, sorry to Paul. You know, we were talking about the absolute requirement to ensure that when you're using, this is one of the dangers of speaking just before the event. But it's a good thing. No, what you were saying was, what's utterly critical here is when people are buying products and services, that you can trust that what product they're producing performs in the way that's good for the consumer, that works. And also when they're buying services, the same thing happens, and they're being run in proper ethical ways. So, you know, the underpinning standards work that this requires is absolutely critical to protect consumers going forward. And the other really important element is about how we get data to people to inform them about what to do, as well as their supply chain. And Matt and Sam, where's Matt? Anyway, have been leading on a task like that. So I'm not going to say much more than that, other than say this has been really well received. The collaboration was fantastic. All this myth that insurers are rogues and somehow difficult is, in my experience, complete tosh. We work with a whole bunch of really good insurers who are going to work with this, who want to engage with the supply chain well. The public sector have moved really fast. The Environment Agency have been brilliant. And not everybody, but mostly there's been a real sort of movement across this sector, a collaboration that's forming where instead of people worrying about their own little sort of booth they sit in and competing with others, there's all like a bigger cause that people are aiming at and collaborating and working much better on. So that's the review. It was publicised a bit on Friday. It was launched the week, so it was on telly and on the radio a bit. It was the week before it was launched in Portcullis House with leaders of business, leaders of government and others. About 3 weeks before that, it was published alongside the National Flood Resilience Review. And you're going to have the treat today of hearing from a number of people like Joey and others and Graham and others who have been engaged on it. I'm now yesterday's guy. I've done my job. I'm out of there. Although I am a non-exec director of DEFRA, so in that role, I will keep my eye on this and make sure it gets the support. But what I'll do today is hand over back to you, Graham, and hand over to the dream team that are going to take this forward and make it a success. Okay? So enjoy your day. Thanks very much.